Today, with the occasional sad song of Spickles in the background, I am going to try and share the story about brokenness with you, my brokenness. I'm not going to go into detail regarding the events that led up to it. I will save that for a different video. And I'm also not going to go into much detail regarding the whole situation. I will save that for another video as well. But I did get the impression that some of my viewers are concerned about me, and I am very grateful for that. I am an emotionally and psychologically very fragile person. And with everything that happened to me, my immune system and my sympathetic nervous system got damaged. So, on top of everything, I am struggling with a lot of health issues, symptoms that can make me feel very anxious at times and that can go over into a full blown panic attack. So, I'm going to take you back to when I was in my fourth year at university. So that is just short of 40 years ago. So I just want to emphasize that although I did a lot of things wrong in my life, a few things that I did not dabble in is I never used drugs. I never misused alcohol. I never smoked. So there's a few things that I did not do. But I was a trampled upon, very broken, overwhelmed individual at that stage in my life. I was busy with a degree at university I had no talent for. And in your fourth year, it just became so obvious that I did not have a musical bone in my body. It became extremely difficult to cope in the class and what was expected of me or a student. And that was just, I think, the last straw on the camel's back. So I did try to take my own life with some devastating repercussions that followed after that. So when in South Africa 40 years ago, it's not like that anymore. Nobody can actually give a damn. But then it worked like that, that if you became a threat to your own safety, to your own life, that you became the property of the state. That's just how it worked. And so I ended up in hospital. That the details I will go into it some other time. I must just first see how this information is how I must just first see how this information is what's the word I'm looking for? I must just see how this information is going to be received by my viewers. Received and processed. So I was hospitalized because of that event. And I was in the psychiatric unit in the normal hospital for 2 weeks. They can only keep you there for a maximum of 2 weeks. So if you do not come right, you then are transferred to an institution. And in those days, we did not have five-star mental hospitals in South Africa. I don't know in other parts of the world. So you then go to a facility like you would see in the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm not going to go into detail as far as that is concerned. I'm going to save that for another video because it is an eye-opening, life-altering experience, especially if you are there because you are severely depressed and not because you are an addict of some sort or they were OCD, severely OCD patients. There were people that were far gone as far as depression is concerned, because if depression is not caught and treated timelessly, it can have devastating effects on a person. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Excuse me. It can have devastating effects on a person that few actually, I think, can comprehend. You must see it to know it and to believe it. Devastating. Which makes a person's brain, the chemical balances that's in your brain to make you function properly, the psychic of a person, and the effect that it has on people's physical health. Um, it it just brings the whole picture together. It's it is mind blowing. But I was then transferred from the normal hospital to a institution. I was there for a long time, and I went there again for a second time. I was basically just completely and totally defeated as far as life is concerned. I was just so depressed and finished with life. There was no light at the end of a very dark, very long, very dark tunnel ahead of me. And I went from sleeping all the time to not sleeping at all. And yeah, there was just a whole lot of things that then went wrong with me mentally. And I'm telling you, the road ahead of a person that has allowed depression to get out of hand to that extent is a mammoth battle ahead. It is a mountain of extraordinary height that you must try to claw yourself out of to get to the summit, to just become a normal, functional person again. So I'm just going to leave that at that. When I summon up enough courage to tell you the events that led up to that and give you a little bit more detail of that whole situation, um, I will share that in another video. So I'm going to now fast forward now a little bit to when I then became 50 and I had that near fatal heart attack, which was the strangest thing. It was like somebody has put all the broken pieces into a bottle and gave it a good shake, opened it, threw it out, and a lot of those pieces sort of then started to fall back into place. Not that you ever become whole again. You can never really fix a broken plate completely back to its original beauty and wholeness and imperfection. Never. So there will always be baggage um, and symptoms from that. From time to time, certain events will trigger and it will just bubble up to the surface again. And why I'm telling you this is that I have never been so whole in my life as I have become since I almost died of that heart attack a month after my 50th birthday. So that does not mean that I will never feel hurt or pain or become a little bit despondent or sad or question things. But I am in a very good place, although my life is very, 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 very hard. I struggle. Kom weg daar, Prada. Just get away there. Although my life is very, very hard, very, very difficult, and I struggle with a copious amount of health issues and things that I grapple with in my mind and my psyche. I am actually in a very good place. I've got a sound, solid relationship with God. I live a life of absolute thankfulness, absolute gratefulness for what I have, for the fact that I open my eyes every morning and that I have been afforded another day of life. And at this point in time, I don't really want to die. I want to live for as many years as God wants to bless me with. So if I do get anxious and panic attacks, that was the first time that I actually shared it with somebody. I don't always want to bother Nicolene, my hairdresser, because I feel it's unfair on her. And I am alone, and I think the fact that I'm alone when that happens makes the whole process worse. And it's often being brought on because my heart starts to have palpitations or skip beats. Um, but I did read up on it, and I think that I have actually pinpointed what's actually going on with me, with the fact that I'm so sensitive as far as medication is concerned, the IBS symptoms. I think I've got a damaged vasovagal nerve, because that also explains the blood pressure fluctuations, although it normally goes with drops in blood pressure, but I get severe spikes in blood pressure as well. My blood pressure is normally normal, textbook normal, but at times it will just dip for no apparent reason, and at times it will skyrocket, dangerously skyrocket, for no apparent reason as well. And When that happens, you don't feel well. If it drops, I want to faint all the time. Not a good sensation to have when you're staying alone. When it skyrockets, it also doesn't feel good. It really doesn't, because the heart is then pounding fast and very hard, and there's pressure and singing in the ears. It's just not a good situation, and then it goes over into a full-blown panic attack, because it makes me feel anxious, because that takes me back to the heart attack, that whole heart attack event. But I am really okay. 99.9% of the time, I think I am okay. There are times that things go haywire, and which makes it then difficult to sleep. And I do appreciate the fact that you got very concerned about me. But you do. The one thing I want to emphasize is that you do not have to be concerned about my spiritual health. My spiritual health has never been as good as it has been for the past 10 years. I am always constantly in conversation with my Maker. He is with me all the time. When my animals go into distress, when I go into distress. And he has showed me numerous times that he has me and he holds me in the palm of his hand. So as far as that is concerned, you really do not have to be worried about me. Um, I do have death walking with me also 24/7. It's like a shadow following me around. But that is basically just remnants being left over, which they call post-traumatic stress disorder, which apparently is quite normal if you went through a almost dying event. It's not nice to have it, but there's an explanation for it. So if I come across as preoccupied with death, then there is a good reason for it. So don't mind that. It's not that I am a risk of doing something drastic to myself, because I've been there, done that. I am not there anymore. I would like to live for as long as I possibly can before it's my time to be taken away to my forever after a home. So thank you for listening, and I hope that this is not too much of a shock to your system, because then I can't share anything else with you, because what there is still to share and the details of everything is far more shocking than this. Just know that I had a hard life, and if there's anybody that can sit and preach to people about what to do and not, and about what not to do if you're still young, it's most probably me. Some people will say, well, it is fresh coming from you because of all the mistakes that I have made in my life, but I have come through it fairly okay. To be still here in sort of one piece. Well, let me stop rambling on. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in the next video.